Welcome back to the Star Trek Critic, where each episode is graded like a school project, starting with 100 points, then 1 point taken away for each error, plot device, continuity error, technical mishap, or anything else I can think of, since I can do what I want in my own videos, except have long snippets of videos from Star Trek, so most everything here is still photos to prevent copyright claims. Today's episode is The Tholian Web. The crew discovers the derelict Defiant in an interdimensional rip in space, where the crew is at risk of insanity and the Tholians don't really like us that much. The stardate puts this episode a little bit before Wink of an Eye. The first point is lost because that is Sulu and that is not. The Defiant has been lost for 3 weeks now, and Spock says this area of space is breaking up, which in reality would have been much more visible in the form of clouds or something similar, which wasn't even tried on the remastered version, so minus 1 more point. We are in unsurveyed territory. That's Kirk's way of saying they're lost. Now they're losing power, and the first thing you think here is that this ship is using some type of shield technology. Good news though, they found the Defiant. Spock is thinking, our rescue mission is almost complete. This is going to be a really short episode. The next point is lost for the captain and first officer both beaming over together, and another point for not bringing security. Looks like there was a wild party. And why are the lights shining on these two? Are these the spacesuits of the future, or is the crew secretly moonlighting as a boy band for Evel Knievel? We will never know. Chekhov asks if there has ever been a mutiny before. Spock immediately says, never. And Kirk is like, you're just hiding a big secret about your sister, aren't you? This is the rare time they actually have names on their uniforms. The ship is still functioning. They think the mutineers are still there but can't find any signs of life. Kirk calls Scotty to send a security squad over. So why is he having Chekhov and McCoy go off through the ship alone? So minus 1 more point. And another point is lost for canceling the security squad for no reason. They are always ready but never get to go. Aww. Chekhov is thinking, I could have been a monkey or a beetle, but now I'm a Knievel. How do you fire a phaser with those gloves? McCoy and Chekhov find the same thing. Extras paid to play dead on a ship that looks just like the Enterprise set. How does a dead body hang like that? They don't, so minus 1 point. And how did the guys strapped in die? Were they poisoned? Of course, the girl in the corner wouldn't be laying like that if she was actually dead. So minus 1 point for dead bodies being obviously positioned by the assistant director. When Chekhov hallucinates, he sees everything like through a camera with a fisheye lens. This is why you don't separate on a mission like this. McCoy states the obvious. He has great bedside manner. And the doctor of the Defiant didn't know what was going on either. McCoy makes the incredible discovery that if a light is randomly shining on a dead body, your hand will go right through it. Why is he surprised his hand just passed through a man? Don't surgeons do that regularly? Dissolving probably isn't the right word, but we get the idea. Back on the Enterprise, Sulu sees the ship disappearing. Have you ever noticed that the director always has an extra cross in front of the turbolift when somebody goes into it? That's to hide the fact that it only has one set of doors. And now Spock states the obvious. Listen closely to the sound of the turbolift doors. Kirk now answers the intercom thinking he's Scotty. Kirk says to beam them back, but judging by the look on the transporter chief's eyes, that's not going to happen anytime soon. It looks like Scotty is scaring the living shit out of the transporter chief. Kirk tells Spock to go back to the Enterprise and then misquotes E.T. The boy band prepares for their next performance. Lieutenant O'Neill's thinking, they're not going to make it, they're not going to make it. Kirk patiently waits his turn, and there goes the Defiant. Little do they know it went into a parallel universe and back in time 100 years. Kirk is gone and Spock is secretly thinking, I'm in charge now. Yes! The computer already knows when the next phase will be, even though a second ago they had no idea what was going on, so minus 1 point. Scotty says the Enterprise is squirming. Spock says space is like a patchwork quilt. Chekhov decides it's time to freak out. And McCoy magically appears at the right time, so minus 1 point. Spock tries the Vulcan ear grab, but it just makes Chekhov see everything through a fisheye lens. So Spock says, screw that, I'm pinching him. And Sulu holds Chekhov's head so he won't get his hair gel all over the console. Here comes a switch. McCoy is concerned the madness is contagious and they should get away from this spot as quickly as possible. But Spock wants to stay for that one shred of hope of getting the captain back. Usually it's Spock who says something like this.
That the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Now we know how much time he's got. Either this is a Tholian ship, or an intergalactic tailor came to iron out space. Just how fast is that supposed to be? Check this out. Sulu has him on visual, but now where is Sulu? So -1 point. And -1 more point because Chekhov is in sickbay right now. Commander Loskin says, this is Tholian space and you have to go. Uhura says she's not putting up with that shit. Spock says he wants to play in the area just a little bit longer, but does not ask the Tholians if they are familiar with the rip in space, so -1 point. Spock does not tolerate deceit. Now they got it right. Sulu is back at the helm. You'd think that after 3 years they'd come up with one rear shot of just Sulu and Chekhov together, but they didn't. And of course McCoy stayed on the bridge, leaving Nurse Chapel to deal with Chekhov all by herself. What an asshole. The next point is lost for McCoy's mad scientist lab not having labels on the bottles. This guy's got a creepy look on his face, but he's not looking at Nurse Chapel, he's looking at Dr. McCoy. The next point is lost for an obvious stunt double. Nurse Chapel is thinking, oh look, they're fighting over me, how sweet. Now look, Nurse Chapel took sides, that's not fair. McCoy's gonna get his revenge by performing weird experiments on him. Scotty says Captain Kirk's not where he's supposed to be, and Spock's response is, well, keep trying. And if they don't take place at regular intervals, they're screwed. Spock is speaking like GPS when you turn the wrong corner. McCoy says the disease isn't transmitted by men. That's sexist. Spock is confident he will find the cause, and he says the cause is the space around them. That's the disease. Now the Tholians fire on the Enterprise, and the crew reacts by throwing themselves around the ship. This turned out to be an incredible screenshot, and this is the original, not the remastered version. Is it just me, or does the Tholian ship look like a paper airplane? This next exchange involves Spock and McCoy arguing about what was the right thing to do, and since they did it so well, I can't trash talk it or take any points away. Aww. Now here comes the other ship, and they look like two June bugs mating. It's a good thing for the Tholians the Enterprise is disabled because this is going to take forever. Spock, you're so optimistic. I'll bet you Uhura has a date with Sulu later. See, I told you. Spock has decided, now that he is in command, he's going to lead his own cult religion, which will boost ratings and get them a 4th season. Look closely, Dr. McCoy says Theragen is the way to go. Here are Spock's new cult followers, and he is thinking, I wonder how much money I can scam out of them. His sermon is already putting Scotty to sleep. Spock says Captain Kirk is no longer alive. That's like saying,
wait, we're also out of coffee.
And now you know where the creators of the airplane movies got that idea. McCoy is picking a fight with Spock now, but I think it's the rip in space that's getting to him. Captain Kirk was a track star. McCoy really won't let it go, will he? He obviously doesn't realize that there are other ways to make captain besides declaring your last one dead. He spent too much time in the mirror universe, didn't he? And -1 point for his condescending remark about Vulcans being immune to this antidote. He really needs to get over this. Even Spock is tired of hearing it, isn't he? What they're really fighting over is who gets to keep that little statue up against the wall. Of course, the monitor comes on facing the camera, not either of them, so they have to move. The next point is lost, not for Kirk's mushy speech, but before that mark on the monitor that's been there for 3 years. Now they're really pissed because he just told them to help each other and didn't say who got his antique collection. Lieutenant Uhura has a great eye for interior design. How much money was spent on this set and fancy cabinet that they only used once? I know that look though, she had the mess hall food again. And now we have a problem. Uhura sees dead people. She's got that look on her face. Dead people vote by mail, don't they? Uhura now quotes Frankenstein.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
McCoy's thinking, Lieutenant Uhura, have you been getting into my Theragen derivative already? She's like, of course I have. The next point is lost for an obvious stunt double for Scotty. Another point is lost for changing Chekhov's clothes while he was asleep. That's creepy. No wonder he's pissed.
Just an old country doctor.
Here we see the old country doctor working at his still. Yes! Why is Chekhov in an enlisted uniform and Uhura is in a robe? Uhura is worried she'll be turned into a Russian that looks like one of the Beatles. O'Neill sings his favorite song from Caddyshack. Scotty tells them they are beginning to interface and then asks the bridge if they are slipping into interspace. Does Scotty think he's at Disneyland or watching a Dennis Quaid movie? In this episode, we learn that Spock is negative and McCoy is positive. And now Scotty sees a floating Captain Kirk. No, Scotty, he wasn't just as plain as we are. Here goes McCoy again, so I'm going to take another point for overkill on this subject. Spock is really pissed now. He even logically tells McCoy to get lost. But as you can see, McCoy is influenced by the rip in space. Hey, doesn't the guy on the right look like Spock's stand-in? Now they all see Kirk. Look closely. You can see Kirk is trying to communicate something to them, probably telling them he wants some fresh air. Look out, Spock. If you touch him, he's going to pop like a balloon. Spock is thinking, I guess I'm not the captain anymore, and McCoy is thinking, ha ha, Spock, I told you. In Spock's quarters, you see some bells from his wedding and an antique cabinet from It's a Wonderful Life. Unlike their conclusion, I highly doubt that the phaser blasted a hole in space. Another point is lost for using the same monitor with the same mark in a second location. Spock is speaking like Scotty now. McCoy discovered the cure is to get everybody drunk on Klingon poison. Yes! McCoy says it's a derivative already mixed with alcohol, and now Scotty wants to add scotch to it. He's gonna be plastered. And you can tell McCoy's had a few drinks because he calls Spock Captain. That is not Chekhov on the right, so after I take a point for a single set of doors on the turbolift, I will take another point for Chekhov magically appearing. Is Kirk on the bridge or out in space in front of the monitor? We will never know. Now we're going to do special effects the old-fashioned way. Tell everyone to bounce around while you're shaking the camera and turn out the lights. This is an awesome question, but right now they have to turn the stars back on. Spock says they had the captain locked in their transporter, but there was no scene saying they tried to lock in on him, so -1 point. And now he's talking to the transporter room about locking in on Kirk, which justifies my claim. So there. That may be the captain, but that's not Chekhov on the right, so -1 point. Look quickly at the rank of the transporter operator. Look quickly, these are Scotty's hands instead, and different ranks, so -1 point. Kirk is beamed aboard and he's saved. Yes! And then 1 point is lost for McCoy sticking the hypo through his suit instead of into his neck. Kirk claims he had the whole universe to himself, but doesn't seem to remember trying to communicate with them. But he was also affected by the rip in space, so I can't take a point this time. This could be taken in more than one way. And the show ends on a funny note with both Spock and McCoy lying to Captain Kirk, because they definitely don't want Kirk knowing that he was right about them. And now the Enterprise flies off into the sunset for another adventure. So, who were the Tholians? Barbara Babcock was the voice of Loskeen, and we will see her again real soon. And today we say goodbye to Sean Morgan, who was in 7 episodes of Star Trek, starting with the Corbomite Maneuver. He was also in Ozzie and Harriet, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and Harry and the Hendersons. And we will see the Tholians and the Defiant. Not that Defiant, this one more time in Star Trek Enterprise. The Tholian Web, which is almost a bottle show, and had more fistfights without Kirk involved, and got its own parallel universe sequel, gets a score of 73%. While you're visiting my channel, be sure to check out my other videos and playlists, and most important, click that like button, the share button, and that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.